When Moors study our Quran and questions for Moorish children, prosecutors and magistrates hit us in the admin buildings, challenging jurisdiction, paperwork sent first, no fiat, quenching the money hungry, bloody credit thirst. Trustees benefit when they cheat your estate. That you thought was a provincial state is a big mistake. From corporate plantations, there's no escape or back door unless reserve rights on contract doors. Keep eyes open for, like you misplaced something. It's witchcraft when you hear caught and your heartbeats jumping. Extortion, past due letters, fake money, bounty hunting. Filing public records, papers within debt counties fronting to have authority. Constitution approved, but those file papers at the county doesn't stop the abuse. Might as well just put on the noose. Shackles and chains on ankles, no boots. In snowstorms with no shame, with no status, no flag, no free national name. With fractional damage, collateral, irrational claims. Catch a psych evaluation or contempt of quasi-court. Calling out what's not in evidence won't set a precedence. It's prison of treason and gross negligence, denying due process and sharing the same sentiments on you harder than cemented. If you give them a chance, I'm here to help you not enter their brainwash camps. Keep your neck hidden, no kidding. Watch out for vamps, light revealer, and keep a walk, keep casting the lamps. Always giving without expecting thanks. In a b-boy stance, scimitar swinging at outstretched hands. Yo, they run on the floor with elegance, lower self-elements. Get the gentleness stomp of Hannibal Alp elephants. Taking back our settlements, induce relevant resonance. And full life ancestral mind, no artificial intelligence. Men turn bionic, high off the seedless hydroponic. Thinking they on it, but what they on it must be demonic. Not Baphomet, Moroccan star on his head. Crescent moons of Islam, he uses Caduceus from Kemet. Sitting in meditation, goatee like a Rasta. Raised Kundalini light, burst out the crown chakra. Volcanic view, HD and panoramic. No ayahuasca root, seeing sounds and symbols automatic. Didn't play eyes, cause mine's so wide open. Maybe an omen, can't see truth cause your third eye swollen. And it's not going down no matter what spell spoken. Or your devotion or golden potent potion. Can't even use water flows in Moorish shogun. Says the calcifying chambers now rest in the bottom of oceans. Left open, false prophet quoting and chasing. Minds under control like lasers for stealing, braving. Mental blocks and thought barricades, the real enslaving. No cake, no type, no dynamic duo while I'm saving. With heads locked, hot brainwashed, don't think I'm breaking. Or b-boying, with scholars, very annoying. With hillbilly sovereigns, knowledge heave-hawing. Being sold out by my own is what has me worried.
You have to unarm the next one too. Did you unarm the other one? Good. Take 10 paces when doing handoffs in the open with bare faces. Mere traces, rare places that know about a status. I mean status. What's the stasis? We out stratus. Mr. Universe, code name Tony Atlas. I was gifted with this. Why you talking about practice? Really? You talking about practice? You a thespian, acting like an actress. You a lesbian, type back on the mattress. Christian, Protestant, Anglican, Baptist, Pentecostal, Lutheran, all Catholic. Ancients have returned, truth is in. Stop the slackers, they do anything and everything to get you off your axis. A time to move forward, a time to win, a time to love, a time to hate. A time to hug, a time to refrain from embrace, a time to smile, time for seriousness on the face, a time to be on point, a time to make mistakes, a time to be small, a time to be great. It's racing for the swift foot, who could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be your more. Strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the floor. If you find it's what you seek in DNA, it's all stored. It's racing for the swift foot, who could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be your more. Strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the floor. If you find it's what you seek in DNA, it's all stored. Time to preserve life, a time to kill, a time to act hype, a time to chill, a time to do what's right. Allah's will, a time to make lower self take you on some thrills, a time to reach heights, a time for depths, times when you speak, times quiet is kept, a time to stay awake. Actually, we never slept. Time to get resuscitated, time for losing your breath. A time to pass, a time to resurrect. Sun sets, then it rises. I know it sounds complex, still no surprises. Try grasp the concepts. Open your eyelids, change your literature to change your mind. That's what I did. You on the fence, undecided? Take time, don't worry, she provided. It's delicate when ideologies collided. It's racing for the swift foot, who could endure with this paradigm shift. I'm glad to be your more. Strong devour, weak, rich, prey on the floor. If you find it's cause you're seeking DNA, it's all stored.
This is Moorish science. I woke up about 9:45, just another day in my life to make it. Even though my face can't really be shaped, yet I'm patient. Brush my teeth in the basin. Flew up to 6 foot sinkhole. Through rooms I thought my head hit shingles. Felt like it's the day I had to climb and take a tinkle. But now I bow my head for the sprinkles that hit my head. So many changes that I live drunk and red don't really make it. I'm really done with letting some niggas shake it. I'm tired of looking through the eyes of the same my denies. My lies found me trapped with temptation. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I fear I'm about to fall. Life is fair when I'm hard to yard. In the dark, I see fear, I see flares as I hear the roar. My fears keep straying from the law. Some things I'm praying for, better days. Celebrate with real family holidays, like all the days I slept. Gotta seize that, gotta ease back, gotta clean my mess. Back to reality, what do I see? Memories
still good in the hood, my soldiers living every day to the fullest. Fear no man, just loading my bullets. It's like a jungle sometime, it make me wonder how I resist the urge to pull it. My trigger, my new we don't play, but we gotta teach the youth the truth to live a better way. War equals death, ain't nobody wins. My homie took his last breath trying to repent his sins. So now we take things a little more serious. No cop or judge instead of fearing us. We the gods on earth. Since birth, we learned to put God first. Stay blessed up. Money to get on the turf, stay vest up. The ongoing cycle of a young buck. The unit full of cheese, no 50 cent. No, it's GCP. The streets know the best.
Sit back and recollect on past times when I was too young to handle, trying to avoid the guilty crimes. I used to just write lyrics and bubbling beats was on my mind. It was all about having fun. As long as the sun would always shine, wasn't concerned with no money. All I wanted to do was rhyme, and I had those feelings to 93 from 89. And I hated school, though I thought it was necessary. My flag is left, I was on the high block daily, and I seen nothing. way he happened in my face, and it hurts like a bitch in those mirrors I can't erase. Try not to dwell on the past, the times can't be replaced. And a prophet once said, don't marvel at the former days. It's not a wise inquiry, need to turn a new page, start a new chapter in this book called The Stage. We ain't afraid of the rapture, new world, new age. But mine you get captured, the brain's already in a cage. My memory says action. So much, so much new, feeling oh so good, so good. I've been raised in the hood.
Islam, Moors, peace and love to all. Happy holy day to all the Moors everywhere. Happy holy day to all the Moors. I want to say honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali for the great work he did in making sure we know about our nationality and birthrights. Made sure that if we don't know anything else, if you don't know anything else, you better know that you're a Moor. Now, tell you again, stop playing around with Moors who study treaties and constitutions and declaration of rights of indigenous people and whatever else out there, enforcing the fact that we have certain rights as the heirs to the vast estate called the Moroccan Empire. So don't think that you're going to be watching some news or whatever, you're going to hear some BS about Moors, and then you're going to say you're not Moors because they had some stuff on the news talking BS about Moors. This is Spanish Inquisition 2019. They already killed you and took Granada. Now it's about killing your mind. Make you for sure give up on the fact that you're Moors. Listening to some Europeans now. I thought this was the devil or whatever. If this guy's the devil and all that stuff, why you listen to what he's saying about Moors if you know he's the devil? How come you listen to the devil all of a sudden? Thought it was the devil, the white man, and took all your stuff and all that. Brought you over here on slave ships and all that, but now you're listening to him though. Because he's telling you some BS about Moors. And singling out Moors who are doing whatever they're doing and trying to put that on all Moors. That's Spanish Inquisition. That's not our opinion as Moors that that's what they're doing. This is what they're doing is Treaty of Verona.
Right.
What they're doing is doctrine of discovery of your mind. Forget discover some land. They already got the land. It's all about minds right now. That's the land right now. And trust me, knowing that you're a Moor is a force field on these devils right here.
Yep.
We don't honor to all the Europeans. The European who said, hey, you know what? I like what you Moors are doing. Here's $5,000. Honors to Europeans like that who rep for Moors. Not the ones playing around with yellow journalism against Moors. Right? And now remember too that who the hell is Virgo Triad? Who are these guys?
Right.
Who are these guys? Who are they? Right? What are they on? 2014? That's it? You're talking crazy about Moors? exposing fraud when you're actually supporting fraud? Not these people trying to slide Moors into their videos. Watch, never talked about Moors ever. There's been crazier stuff than this. How come they're not talking about Moors ever? Where? They're just talking about swindlers and BS. Where's Moors at? Nowhere. We're looking at least 8 months ago. You never talk about Moors? And all of a sudden, now you're trying to push some stuff? Trying to tie all Moors to some consular BS? Don't even try. We're talking about Moorish Empire. We don't create something yesterday and say that that represents the Moors. We don't put Noble Drew Ali up front. Don't even mention his name. Just omit him, but say that you're Moors. You're Moors and all that stuff. But all the stuff that you're selling and all the stuff that you claim you're representing or whatever like that, I don't see any of that. I don't see any of that. Say Noble Drew Ali. Oh, you mentioned his name. Yeah, 3-hour lecture. You ever mentioned Noble Drew Ali, but you're more though. You know about your birthrights and you know about that, but you're not going to mention the prophet and venerate him. But nah, they want to try to play their little game.
I really wanted a car to expand my employment opportunities, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to afford one.
That
the two members of an
make sure that they throw all you Moors who aren't saying anything, sitting back. And again, we already know they've been doing this. This ain't nothing new. We're just letting you know that's what the attack is. Forget some black-white BS. The attack is trying to get you to not know that you're Moors and make sure you're everything else. And anybody who's even gonna try to mention this to you, they're gonna take them out of circulation.
Yeah.
Because the people are docile. The people are stakes on the table, about to get the knife in them. Not the steak on the table. The people are on the table as the steak right now. They don't even know they're on the table, about to get eaten. You want to debate Moors. Like everybody, we are all Moors. Anur Majid, go get the book. Are you dumb? Pale Arab's gonna come tell you we are all Moors. Backing everything up with facts how we are all Moors. Stop playing around like we're something else. Pale Arab. But you're not gonna listen to that one, but you're gonna listen to this BS.
Anti-government group at a house in Upper Darby. Members of this group believe that they live beyond the authority of the state and federal governments. Action News reported.
Right? Islam, more. Go in, more. Go in. You do your thing.
Great. Yep. Because we got to clarify everything. We already know, you know, as soon as he said that, the state, all of that, we know Black's Law Dictionary, all of that stuff comes from corporations. And we like, that's not de jure. And the dude who's speaking right there, we have to set the foundation. We all know that. That's foreigner guy. That's not
modern European.
Moor.
Modern European.
And he's telling you what's going on in the Moroccan Empire. That's fraudulent already. Before he even talks, it's fraud. He can't do that. Like, he's foreigner guy. First of all, where's his papers for him to be here? Like, we have to set all of this tone first.
Go read the George Washington letter to the Sultan.
He can't just go out there. Exactly.
This is still the Barbary States. Don't get it messed up. This is still the Moroccan Empire.
that's where I say. That's what we're saying. Like right there, Spanish Inquisitional practices. Like that's Inquisitional practices right there. Why is he foreigner guy up there speaking now? And that's the other thing too. Now the broadcaster too, he works for ABC News. That's 6 ABC News right there. Now I was telling you, now who owns ABC News? Because somebody has to put him there. He don't just volunteer to go do that story or nothing like that. Somebody has to put him in that story. So who's the owner of ABC? And then you go find out it's I forgot his first name is Iger. He's the owner of Walt Disney and Walt Disney. He's the owner of Walt Disney and he owns ABC News. Now this dude Iger, it's Robert A. Iger. Spell his last name Iger. Now he's the owner of Walt Disney. He's so-called rich or whatever, top dude with lots of notes or whatever, but he's a Jew. He's a Jew. Like we already know the story behind that, a fake Jew, at that. But he's another Jew, and he's married. He married a European, another modern European. They got married in a Jewish Roman church in Ithaca, New York. I never even heard of a Jewish Roman church. Now, this is the owner of Walt Disney, who owns ABC News. He got married, who has these people who owns this network, who has him on here talking about Moors, the guy we're looking at right now. He works for the guy who got married in a Jewish Roman church. These people are practicing inquisitional practices. Nothing changed. That's wrong. They're putting out their charlatans to do reports on the Moors. Nothing changed. The owner of ABC News is a Jew. He went to college. The college he went to was Ithaca College. Now, if you look up Ithaca went to war with the Macedonians, or the Macedonians, or whatever, who are the Moors. When you look up the Macedonians, they're Moors. So it was the Moors who was going back and forth with war with the Ithaca, and actually the capital of Ithaca is Al-Khomene. Al-Khomene. That's the capital of Ithaca. And that's the Moors named that. So when we came there and took over that area, that's probably what the problem is. It's the same thing. It's a back and forth. Moors and Romans, Christians, Moors, whatever. It's back and forth. But then they go on TV and make it seem like, oh, the state. That's wrong. What state? That's wrong. That's imposition. This the Moroccan Empire. What state you talking about? This the Moroccan Empire. What state and government is he talking about? Foreigner guy that's making news. That's the problem. Like people just watching this for its face value and not really dissecting what they're seeing. This is still inquisitional practices. The dude who owns ABC News is a so-called Jew who got married in the Jewish Roman church. His wife, her last name is Bet, but she spelled it with an A, B-A-Y. So they know about the families. They still doing hierarchy. They're playing the Moors are the ones, but when you go look, because you hear Bet, you're like, B-A-Y, that's not how we spell it. And then, okay, somebody's playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's playing games.
Yeah.
So once you see, like, it's inquisitional practices. And then the Ithaca, once they got, they ended up, Ithaca, the people were, started getting taught by the Venetians. So when you get in debt, because the Moors was just kicking they behind, and then the Venetians started teaching the Ithaca, the people on Ithaca Island or whatever, how to fight government and stuff like that. And I mentioned the Venetians too, because he was talking about, Asir was talking about the Venetians and how the Venetians are basically the sellouts. You know what I mean? So it was the Venetians who taught these modern European Ithaca Island people the structure and how to defeat the Moors. Because that's what that's the back and forth. Since BC time, we've been going to war with Ithaca. You can do the research. The Macedonians in Ithaca. But that goes all the way down to now. We're looking at news broadcaster right now on the screen. Nothing changed. It's still the same thing. But we keep thinking, you know, because of the distractions, you know, TV, what they talk like now on it, but nothing's changed. It's still Romans against the Moors, still this inquisitional practices against the Moors.
Constantinianism versus Islam.
Yep. Nothing has changed. It's the same thing. Yeah. Nothing's changed. It's just the next day. That's it. They keep making it seem like that's some ancient stuff. That ain't ancient. It's just the next day. That's still going on. Cycle. It's just the next day. Nothing changed.
You know.
That's inquisitional practices. That's a modern European. Where's his name card?
Right. Actually, Yep. How is it that they have the authority to speak on matters relative to what's outside their jurisdiction?
Right.
Now keep in mind, like you're saying with the sellout, you know, they have their Moorish people that they went to validate their story.
Oh, of course. Because once you look up what's that area? Upper Darby, Pennsylvania Corporation. When you look up that corporation, Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, the first thing that's going to pop up, if you type it in with the Moors, the first thing that's going to pop up is Hopkins Bay, and him with the city, and guess who's reporting that? ABC News, Channel 6 from Philadelphia. Coincidence, huh? Coincidence, huh? But when you do research, when you start studying, you be like, oh, okay, we know who's playing games. When you start researching and you start looking, okay, Upper Darby, well, that's Hopkins Bay, and then you're like, well, dang, it's Moors all around that area. Why would they just target Sherry? It's a lot of questions.
Right.
You know?
A lot of questions.
Why would they?
If there's Moors there.
Hopkins Bay?
Yeah, like if there's Moors there. If there's Moors there that they can go to, or go stick a mic in their face or go stick a recorder on them and ask them to whatever.
Yep.
You know, that's crazy.
That's why I was like, this is connected too much.
Yeah.
This is connecting too much. And you know, the more, you know, the history of Philly, Moors, we lost our birthright in so-called Philadelphia. That history is crazy in so-called Philly with the Moors. That's Sheikh Mexum. That's not Philly. That's Sheikh Mexum.
Yep.
They playing games. Now, look, foreigner guy is telling you the news and Sheikh Mexum. telling you it's the Upper Darby, Philadelphia. That's fraud, right? But how? But we listening to this. People look, I don't know if I want to proclaim my nationality. Look what they say.
Look what they say about Moors. Yeah.
See? Inquisitional practices. Right there.
Right. This would be relative to them tying you on the horses and pulling you apart.
Right.
This is how the scare tactic is relevant. Why we say it's inquisition. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're not claiming who you are, they're playing scare tactics with you. If you're not claiming who you are, they're playing scare tactics with you.
Right. Yep.
right?
Yeah. You run away, tie you up.
Yeah, you know, this is like them putting you in the Iron Maiden.
Yep.
Right, them putting you in the Iron Maiden is relative to you watching the news, seeing Moors, and them talking crazy, and then you're not gonna gravitate to Moors because they scared you.
Mm-hmm.
They told you something's under the bed, and you're under the covers talking about before you just go check under the bed.
You didn't just hear what he said? You under the covers now. And this dude's walking out with your vast estate. Because he told you some Houdini stuff, and you believed it. Foreigner guy. Look.
Foreigner guy.
I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm pretty sure the news broadcast is still up there. Is he still up there?
Yeah, he's up there.
Yo, foreigner, telling me what's going on in Morocco. How?
Yeah.
How? And then, okay, if it's possible, his owner, whoever is letting him do this work, it has to be a Moor. It should be a Moor who he's working for, because I don't have no problems with Europeans being here. I'm just saying, if it's my house, the owner of the house better be me. You know, because it's mine. It shouldn't be somebody acting like they own my house and hiring people out of my, no, it's my house. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's my house. How are you saying this is your house and you can invite company over here? How? How did you do that? If anything, I let him come over here as my house. Now he works, but when I do the background check and I see that it's Rome back in this, oh no, Rome don't like Moors. You check the history, Rome doesn't like Moors.
Yeah. Check the history.
And it's not, and I want to check that.
Inquirer is live.
It's still going on.
Yeah.
You know, because we keep making it seem like it's past.
Mm-hmm.
When it never stops. It's an ongoing thing. They just got new names for it now. People call themselves colors and continents and stuff like that now. And that under the guise of, you know, enormous shit, we are all Moorish.
Yeah.
That's foreigner guy doing the news in Morocco. It's already yellow journalism. He didn't even talk yet, and it's already yellow journalism. The jurisdictions don't add up. Who does he work for? Who hired him? Any of you Moors hired him? And he shouldn't be speaking. That's the fraud right there. You didn't even let him talk for 2 seconds, man.
Right. Before we start, because we get it, right? We built with Moors, we get it, right? If you're gonna say that you honor the Prophet, but then not do what he presented, then, you know, this is what it is. And then an outsider sees that now and then says, hey, the Moors are whatever like that, when they know that that one individual doesn't represent everybody.
Mm-mm. No. There's, like I was telling you before, there's Moors that sell drugs. There's Moors that, you know, walk old ladies across the street. We all Moors.
Right.
Moors do different things.
Whether good or bad or whatever is relevant,
right.
just
right.
Moors do different things.
Moors do different things. You're still a Moor. You're still a Moor. There's dirt. What's the prophet say? Don't call him a dirty Moor, because he's still a Moor.
Yeah.
Because he's still a Moor. They still Moors. I'm not saying what the Moabite did or didn't do was justifiable. I'm just saying it should be the Moroccan Empire who does anything with this, that makes jurisdiction, like, not foreigner.
Or anything else. Not just with this situation.
Right,
well, any situation.
Absolutely.
That could happen with Moors and foreigners who are occupying the Moroccan Empire. Like, there should be some type of consultation with Moors. Because you're not dealing with somebody from some club or some whatever.
Nope. But they play the game in that once the interview keeps playing. Once you hear the charges, you already know that these are foreigners playing games. Yeah. But we don't listen.
36 North Harwood Avenue in Upper Darby. Dan, what are the details on this? Well, Jim, the two members of the purported sovereign group have been arrested and charged with...
Purported. The purported sovereign group. You don't think they're playing games? Right now, remember, the news people are saying sovereign group. The news people are saying sovereign group.
Yep.
Right.
Which they got from Southern Poverty, because the first time we were labeled that was Southern Poverty, SP, whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
So that's where they getting their information from, which we know there's reports out about them that they fraud.
Exactly.
So again, foreigner guy who's reporting the news. Like, we are inquisitional practices. Inquisitional practices. Look what they get in there. Look, that's yellow journalism right there. That's the fake news right there. Soon as he called us sovereign citizens, we know where you got your information from.
Because just like somebody in the chat said, it's scripted.
Oh yeah, the whole thing.
Risking a catastrophe. Police say they summoned their supporters from across the region to come out and... Police say they summoned their supporters from across the region to come out. Reported sovereign group have been arrested and charged with risking a catastrophe. Police say they summoned their supporters...
Look at that.
Now, charged with risking a catastrophe. Charged with risking a catastrophe. Now, this is what... Yeah, more. This is what the Sundry Free Moors were fighting against. That they beat their stuff with. That you're not putting me under any Negro Act. Because you're a foreigner. I have my status, my jurisdiction. They're making reference to it in the broadcast. So there has to be some type of connection to Moors. Now, when they have a connection to Moors, they know that this has nothing to do with any sovereign group, whatever. Now, you're looking at them using the sovereign whatever allows them to lump right to travel in there, or present a nationality card or whatever, not to pay taxes. There's an umbrella, which is the sovereign citizen, whatever. And then they put all the activity of Moors under that.
Yep.
Whatever the activity is, as far as Moors, that's the proper activity.
Yep. Islam,
would be lumped in. Islam. Yeah, more. Islam. Right. Hold on, what is now, again, the modern Europeans are presenting what they've been fed. Our people are the ones that are the heirs to the vast estate and have certain inalienable rights. There was no talk, again, just like with other Moors that they did the lumping, create a case BS with, under some fraud, that, oh, because these Moors had a meeting at their house, they are, and then they're trying to, let's play a little more.
From across the region to come out and prevent sheriff's deputies from evicting them. Authorities, trying to avoid another MOVE organization type incident, decided to wait it out until things cool down.
Now, they're comparing this to MOVE. MOVE? How is this in comparison to that? That again, this is them creating their hype. Because as soon as you hear MOVE, you already know where these people's mindset is at. Again, the scare tactics. And not the scare tactics of some whatever physical happened. The scare tactics that you wouldn't even go study and find out about Moors. This would deter you. When it's not supposed to deter you, because Moors been around before this. Just like we say with so-called Asians. They don't play color. They don't play they don't have rights and they have to do certain things in order to have whatever. They're themselves. Moors are trying to be themselves. But it's hard when you stray from what was presented. And what was presented was for you to know thyself before anything. You can't have a trust document, but you don't have a natal chart. Your stuff's gonna be off. Because this is about self. And they're trying to deter the people from self. Because the only self that we have is that we're Moors. And there's two selves, higher self, lower self. Choose one. Because there's no fence straddling. There's no you're Moors when you want to get out of something. And when you get out of it, then you're not Moors until you get into something. And then you're Moors again. And now we're going to try to get out of something. This is about the realization of self. And we've been telling you the campaign that is going on against the Moors.
This group is totally anti-government in any way, shape, or form.
Right. Now remember, they're not charged with nothing about houses. Why are they showing boarded up houses and stuff like that? All this is part of the propaganda. All this is part of the game. They know what they're playing. They know where they're leading. It's like Noble Drew Ali said, they're trying every weak mind. Strong minds ain't the strong minds already got this. And then we already know that with no injured party, there's no case. This is almost like thought police. They say, oh, you are gonna do something, so we're just gonna take you now because you were gonna do something. You were gonna do something. Remember, they didn't do anything because they're not talking anything about charges for any house, anything, mortgage fraud, nothing like that. They didn't charge them with no corruption of anything. They don't charge them with some anti-government, whatever like that. No charges called that. So why all this talk like that? Anti-government talk. What does anti-government have to do with the charges? Which there's no injured party. Oh yeah, that camera said that you ran the light. The camera said that you ran the light, so we're gonna charge you running the light. What do you mean? How? Well, the camera took the picture of the, so a camera is an injured party? Okay, what's a party? What's a party then? If a camera is an injured party, then we need to know what a party is. And if party is a corporation, then okay, fine, you got me. Because obviously, I'm in the jurisdiction. But nobody's limping in here. Nobody has neck brace or nothing like that. They're just saying you coulda did something, so we're gonna charge you. You were gonna do something. That's thought police. That's 1984 and all that. Yeah, well, see, how come the camera doesn't have to swear on the Bible and stuff? How come the camera's not even in court? What do you mean a picture? Shouldn't the camera be here? Because I have questions. I have to question the accuser. So I want to question the camera. But you have to question this guy who, what do you mean? Why is there a guy? Was the guy on the camera when it took the picture of the stuff, or what's going on here? And these people like to play their little games to try to get people not to deal with Moors. And then you have clowns out there telling people 8,500 for papers or cards or whatever. And then people are going to them. And then later on, they find out about somebody else who's a Moor, and they're telling them, like, what the hell are you talking about 8,500? 8,500? That guy just played you. Oh, well, okay, I'll get something. And they never hear from them again because now they're embarrassed or whatever that they just got played. Instead of them going over to dude with stuff and getting back their stuff.
Going in on the what if charge?
Say it again?
What are you talking about? The charges? The what if charge?
Yeah, the what if charge.
That is the crazy. That's when I also knew it was just to defame Moors, a scare tactic, because they just mumbled that in there, like basically the what if charge, and then they did a cameo of just slander.
Mm-hmm.
They just started slandering. Oh, they don't believe in the government. They're dangerous. None of this has to do with the charges.
Exactly.
Like they're violent and like what are you talking about? Who's they? You so-called arrested Sherry. What are you? Who's they? Why are you talking about everybody? Like you said, it puts every Moor into it now. But like you said, this is a Moroccan empire. What about the mortals? Are they talking about the mortals too? Those are Moors?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Sri Lankan Moors? They talking about them too? Because we talking about the empire. So then, and that's why inquisitional practices. These colonists have colonized everywhere. Everywhere. That's why a lot of our so-called brothers from other areas, they don't be trying to speak up neither. Because the Europeans colonized everywhere. I met a brother from the East. Straight told me he was a Christian, and I was looking at him like, oh, that's the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. Like, that was just the most shocking news ever. But then you find out Africa has the biggest population of Christianity, or that's the biggest place of Christianity in the world is Africa. That's another shocker. How is that?
How is that?
These people want to go back to Africa so bad.
Arrested and charged in connection with the case are 41-year-old Corey Pitts and 43-year-old Sharon Gale, also known as Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. They purport to be leaders of the Moorish sovereigns.
Purport again, right? Purport again.
Called Moors who preached a radical ideology. Right,
now check this one.
Sharon Gale, also known as Sharon Tracy Gale Bay. They purport to be leaders of the Moorish sovereigns, called Moors who...
They purport to be the leaders of the Moorish sovereigns called Moors. They purport to be the leaders of the Moorish sovereigns called Moors. Now, if that's not fraud,
that's crazy.
Now, this is what they're alleging. They purport to be the, now, when, because obviously they know who these people are, because they've been watching them for the 2 months and all that stuff before, because they didn't want to do the move thing. So they said they're going to wait 2 months before they...
Which is a lie. They've been watching us their whole life.
So they know these people. They know who these people are. But I never seen none of that stuff that they're talking about on their website or anything, that they're the leaders of any Moorish, anything called MOORS. Because MOORS is a little too generic. Because they were doing specific activity under a specific title or name. How come that's not mentioned? They had a website with a name. Why aren't you calling them by their name? Why are you calling them by Moorish sovereigns and Moors and everything but their name? And then remember ABC, they just replaced Negro with African American. It's still NBC. These people had a name that they were calling themselves. And then to try to throw all the Moors under the bus, here comes ABC with their fresh off the press BIE or SPLC reference points to try to make a case for 2 Moors that they got for some charges that they even really justified the charges based on all the slandering that's going on in the broadcast that they're applying to Moors, not just these 2 people that they say that they quote unquote caught doing whatever they're claiming they're charging them with.
Preached a radical ideology. They're very wrong. The government has to say. Authorities say when they defaulted on their mortgage, the sheriff's office issued an eviction notice. Authorities say that's when the 2 used social media to urge their supporters from across the tri-state area to come out and prevent deputies from entering the house.
No. I can say that that part there is pretty much a lie or whatever, because they weren't having no meeting about no foreclose nothing, because they called me about going to the meeting. I declined. And it wasn't about some foreclose whatever. It wasn't about some anti-government whatever. It wasn't about some type of however it is that they're putting it in their news broadcasts. That's not what the meeting was about. So that's fiction. And again, you're talking about master yellow journalists. They know what they're doing. They know the buttons they want to push in your psyche.
Yep.
To make you release certain emotional energies or vibrations that would make you change your thinking. but not in your favor. Because first and foremost, these people are Moors, and then these people broadcasting are foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know Holy Covenant and all that. Worst come to worst, we'll deal with them. But there's
even
also
the news broadcasting.
Go ahead, more. Go ahead, more.
I'm just saying, you know, even the new broadcast. That's even because I was even doing research on the origin of yellow journalism, and it's Roman practice, and it was telling you in Rome how they would spread so-called fake news to the people to keep them distracted away from another thing that, you know, what they was really doing behind closed doors. So they would spread fake news to make them argue and debate about what the fake news was in the, you know, going around when the real popes or whoever who was owning it, they were really doing their own agenda, while everybody else was arguing the fraud. So yellow journalism is ancient. They've been doing that stuff. They've been spreading lies to the people, you know. And then again, I gotta correct myself. It's not ancient. It's just the next day. People still doing the same BS. People still doing the same BS, man. Nothing never changed. It's just the next day. It's just the next day. Foreigner guy, and you know, and that's for the next one. That's for the next one. That's for the next one. The next video. The next video. But yeah, right here, impositional practices. What do they say? They're anti-government and stuff like that. What government? What government? What government? Like, you got to put everything in its proper place. But if you don't study and you don't have no RV-based publications ain't your foundation, and you watching this, I ain't gonna be no more. That's the first thing you're gonna think. Why would I do that? You know, with the slander they put, you know, these people got batteries in their house, and you know, they just make it seem like, you know, but they won't tell, you know, well, look, the only reason why they, you know, have to do all of that is because we colonized here and we took their land. Like, they won't explain that. They'll just say, oh, they was evicted. How are you evicted when you're the landlord? I'm the landlord, but I'm evicted.
Yeah.
How? Unless somebody is practicing inquisitional practices. How can I be evicted? I'm the Moor. So when you got people, you know, when they can connect you back to some organization or some, you know, fraudulent temple that's around them who says, oh, you know, who agrees that that's some sovereign citizen.
Right.
Like, yeah. Moors are saying that, who are in temples, they'll come in interviews and say, like, oh yeah, those are Moorish sovereign citizens. Like, how can Moors say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Which you know, has you questioning them now. Because those are the last people that should be saying that Moors are sovereign citizens or a sovereign group or playing it in that perspective.
Right, which again came from SPLC. You know, it wasn't mentioned before then. Nobody's never called Moors sovereign citizens or nothing like that since they did that. Like, that's where it came from. Like, that's not ancient. They weren't calling you think they was calling Moors in 711 AD sovereign citizens? You think that these Europeans couldn't even eat when you walked by them? You think they was calling us some sovereign citizens then? But if you got people who look just like you, feds in turban, who is calling you a sovereign citizen too, like, stuff starts getting difficult. Because because our own is selling us out too. You got that? Like, it makes it looks crazy. It looks crazy. Like, the news can come up here and say this, and then you go click on the temple who's backing what the news is saying, or find news articles what's backing what the news is saying. Yeah. How?
Yeah. They're trying. They're trying. Definitely trying.
To come out and prevent deputies from entering the house. 40 to 50 people showed up. Superintendent Mike Chitwood had visions of what happened with the MOVE organization in Philadelphia back in the 80s. He did not want a repeat of that and urged law officers to wait. I was very concerned. I was concerned about the safety for everybody, the neighborhood, the officers. They waited for 2 months until only the 2 suspects and their 3 children were in the home. They raided the place without it.
2 months.
That's a script, man.
2 months. 2 months? Like, and remember, all of this is just building up the hype for the sovereign citizen BS. This is not in 2 months. Right? Foreign Gains didn't get no 2 months.
Remember, this is Rome who owns this ABC News broadcasting. Rome owns it. He's working for, literally, he can do the research. Rome owns this.
The Spanish Inquisition.
Incident at the crack of dawn Monday. Chitwood says you wouldn't believe what the woman told SWAT officers. You're all under arrest and I'm making a citizen's arrest. She said what? She said, I'm making a citizen's arrest, so you're all under arrest. So needless to say, she got locked up. We didn't get locked up. Inside the home, they found a pistol-grip 12-gauge shotgun.
Right. And that's because of occupation. Because they should be locked up. Because they're foreigners. They're supposed to be reserved to 13 colonies. But then again, like we said earlier, you can't just look at them. Because we have BS too. You can't just look at them, the Europeans did it. No, look at your BS that you did. Why they did what they did.
Oh, yeah.
What BS were you doing? That these people sitting there watching you for 2 months, watching you do BS. To give them authority to come kick something in or whatever. They didn't want to make it be like MOVE. What do you mean? What are you talking about? That's your reference point? This being like MOVE? So is he calling out his boys? That they had a plan of how they were going to deal with this? Is he saying that that's how they were going to deal with this? And then if this is the anti-whatever and all that stuff, and they're violent and all that stuff, what are you waiting for? You're not waiting for anybody else who did some hole up or whatever like that. 2 months. It's not like you guys were outside the door waiting for something. 2 months.
Playing inquisitional practice games. That's all I'm like. You watch the Moabites and the Moors. You watch them, and then went in and targeted it. The domicile, kidnapped Moors, took them from their ancestral estate, put them in a dungeon. Like that's what they did.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what they did. Held them for ransom, boiled up some trumped up charges. Cause okay, again, the last thing he just said was that they had a shotgun in the house. With the charges was some what if charges. But she had a shotgun in the house. So she should be charged for the shotgun. Why isn't she charged for the shotgun? The charges just said, what if? So she wasn't charged for the shotgun. Like, how? It's a lot of questions, like I said earlier, a lot of questions that I have here. Like, how come she got arrested for the shotgun? You guys said, what if, and then arrested her. But you can't arrest nobody for what if. That's why my other question was, is she home? She should be home. You know, like, she shouldn't be held for ransom anymore because they kidnapped you on some what if. Allegedly. I can't believe they did that. But that's inquisitional practices. But that's what they do. They kidnap Moors.
Yeah.
For no, and you can get the book. Dang. I know I ain't gonna be able to find it in this. It's something. The history of prison. The history of prison. Where they would have court without you. You wouldn't even be there. They would make a decision. And you done did. Next thing you know, you're doing 20 years. This is in medieval time. You Moors, what we was doing to Europeans. Lock them up, not give them no, like they just doing what we did to them. Mm-hmm. You know. Still at the same time. That's why I said it before earlier. It's back and forth. Moors against the Christians. You know, same thing. Nothing's ever changed. We just got. We're losing now. We're losing. We never got a comeback.
Yeah.
The comeback now is though nationality is the order of the day. For some reason, they don't even want you to because they just did. They can control the media. They can all those writs we send them. They can just take them, throw them in the trash, and all of that. They can, their fraternities with the so-called justice system, the judges, and all of that. They all together in cahoots. So if they already control all of that, what is so powerful that they don't want you to even think more?
Yep.
It must be something. And it's something overwhelmingly because they don't even want you to think that you are more. They don't even, we control the paperwork, the news, everything. They don't even want you to think you're more. Something's crazy with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you already control everything. We can't do nothing because y'all control it. So why can't we just call ourselves Moors? Why is everybody getting all uptight and crazy when we call ourselves Moors? What happened? What happened? What happened? It's something with that energy, just with the word alone.
Yeah.
Because now, because you know who you are, the karmic debt on somebody that they did something to you is going to be work because you're not a it. You're not calling yourself a it.
Right.
Now you are part of the human family.
But when you're not it, you better be not it for real. Because if these people think that you're playing with not being an it, when you're really being an it kind of sometimes or whatever like that, then these people will hold you to you being an it just because you wanted to be an it.
I got a perfect example for that.
Yeah, man.
The it factor. My you know, my friends still come over here. You know, they come check me. You know, when they come over, you know, they already know it's library time. But you know, they come over, they still want some of the knowledge. So they left. You know, they leave, and I talk to them the next day. First thing they say, you know, we got pulled over. Well, not pulled over. We were sitting in the car drinking, and I was like, "What?" And then highwayman comes right behind them. You guys look familiar, and I'm like, "All of that, right? Look, all of this." And I'm like, yeah, because you guys want to play that straddle the fence. You know what I mean? Because I told him, I said, well, if you had your fence on, you think you would have been, you guys look familiar? You think you know what I mean? Like, and then the other thing, why are y'all sitting in the conveyance drinking? Like, what are you doing? That's the straddling the fence. You came over here, you guys know, because first thing he tells me is, well, when they gave me the ticket, I reserved my rights. I said, for what? Why? When you were in there being dumb nigger, drinking and stuff, being dumb nigger, you signed that paper, dumb nigger. That's what you do. Don't try to straddle the fence now. Well, you know, you told me, so I'm no, you're being dumb nigger. You're drinking. Like, what are you talking about? You can't straddle the fence. And I told him, don't do that because you're making it hard for de jure Moors.
Yep.
You know, like, that's highwaymen, all right, I already know. We know guys like you. Like, I hate when I hear that. Like, you don't know nobody like me. You know, I'm not drinking or trying to use who I am to get by at something.
Right.
Like, I'm not that. That's not, there's people out here who are doing that. You know, the ciphers. That's why I tell Moors, you know, be careful who you're telling this information to. Because they're going to go out there and think they got a genie gland. Like, oh, okay, I can just rub this and I'm going to use it. They're going to get kidnapped and then make it harder for you. That's what's going to happen. That's what's been happening. People think getting this information, going out there doing what they're doing too early and making it hard. But not even doing it de jure. They doing it to get by, trying to, I'm going to go get this, buy this, and because I ain't paying taxes. No, that's not what you're not paying. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You not paying taxes, so you can go buy a, 2019 Mercedes. Like, what are you talking about? Why do you want to, like, no, that's not what none of this is.
Straight.
You making it harder for de jure Moors. That's the straddling in the fence. That's why I don't like Moors. You can't straddle in the fence. You can't, if you check, I made a video about us being Moors, but yeah, you did, but you got 1,300 videos of us being black. And us, the black community needs to do this, and like, you straddling in the fence. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You did one video saying we were Moors.
Or you have an Olmec head as half of your face for your album cover.
Right, for your album cover.
No, that were more. They're not telling you. They'll call you everything else in the book. They want you to think that this is something, get out of something. That's what it means to be a Moor. To be a Moor means you're anti-government. To be a Moor means they're going to have you on a list with a sovereign whatever, and then you're going to have to fight your way out of everything because... Right, exactly. I got court tomorrow. How do I nationalize? That's exactly how it goes.
Right. But clubbing all weekend, out chilling with the guys all weekend. Monday comes because they got court. They calling you 7:30.
Yeah.
They got to be to court 8:30. But you supposed to, and then trying to hit you with stuff. I thought you was a Moor. You supposed to be helping people. Like what? How is this any my fault? Because what you were doing.
Well, you know it's going to be your fault.
Like I was there with you. Like I was there with you. Like no, because you already know. As soon as I tell you something, and if it don't work, oh, that more stuff don't work. You know, no, you don't work. That's what the problem is. I'm trying to say it's the Moors or something like that. No. Again, you guys think you got a genie lamp in your pocket and you're just going to rub it when you need it. That's not how this works.
Yeah, that's the real one right there. They want the nationality in a genie bottle.
Yep. They want to rub it. They want to rub it when they need it.
Yeah.
Then it comes out. Poof. You know, the nationality comes right out of the genie lamp.
Yo, that would be crazy. If it was that, you only have 3 tries to freaking use it, and then it's done. Either write a writ or rub the genie lamp. But you only have 3 rubs of the genie lamp.
Yep. None of them. No, if you got exactly. I bet you nobody would be, enforce the Constitution. None of them would think to do that. None of them. If I had that genie bottle, that'd be the first thing I'd do. All right, genie, you're gonna make these people enforce this Constitution. That's what you're gonna do. Because if that's forced, well, I'm good. I can do whatever I want. Whatever I want, as long as that Constitution is enforced. That'd be my first thing. If I have 3 wishes as having my nationality, first thing I want, enforce that Constitution. Enforce it.
Perpetual.
Right.
Don't stop. And not that 2018 Constitution either.
No. What? No, please not that one. No, please not. Please not. They change their constitutions every half hour. Every half hour they changing and correcting. Because like what my mom say, hey, once you tell a lie, you gotta tell another one.
Yeah, straight up.
You gotta tell another one.
Got to. Oh yeah, so let's check this other one because these guys are bothering me right now. Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, in another style of offenses, those auto talkiness.
Yeah, about to go there. About to go there right now.
Right.
About to go there right now. So various people talking crazy about Garvey. About Marcus Garvey was an agent. No. Just so we don't get our slaps from the prophet, let's just put our stuff out there. The end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did taught and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Drew Ali. who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. So Marcus Garvey is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. So the honors we give to the Prophet, we give to Marcus Garvey for the work that he did to prepare the people to receive their Prophet, to which he prepared them. Now, all these people know already that we're Moors. They know that we're Moors. But everybody knows that mum's the word, or Moor's the word. So they're playing games. That they're all this other stuff. When majority of the stuff that these people are claiming is that they're an adjective. That's all they're claiming, to be adjectives. Now we went to check, and
just give me 1 second, Gracie.
yeah, more. We went to check, and you know, we usually just go to etymology, and autochthonous adjective from autochthon, which is a noun. Now, if an autochthon is one sprung from the soil he inhabits, the soil that one sprung from has a name. And the name of the soil that one has sprung from will give that individual their tie to the soil. So we say that this is the Moroccan Empire. When we say that this is the Moroccan Empire, we mean that this is the land of the Moors. We get it with the Aboriginal whatever. We're Moors, trust me, we get it. But stop the BS and just say that you're Moors. You have to stop anything that you're doing. Just say that you're Moors while you're saying what you're saying. But nah, everybody wants views or whatever, and they wanna use Moors music to intro their stuff, but then they're gonna diss the forerunner. They're gonna diss the forerunner, but they're gonna use Moors music to intro their stuff. You can't ride with Moors but not ride with Marcus Garvey. It doesn't work like that. Marcus Garvey is the forerunner of the Moorish movement. He's the forerunner. So he earned his honors. He's not some back to Africa, whoever, like what people are talking about him. That's not who he is. Everybody keeps that's playing their little indigenous or whatever. Because we've heard you people talking slick. It's not the first time that you're talking crazy about the forerunner, about him being an agent. It's supreme honors to Marcus Garvey. Why? Because even all his teachers were Moors. He wasn't learning from dumb Negroes. He wasn't learning from dumb Negroes. He was learning from Moors. It was obvious. It was obvious that they wanted to get rid of the unification that was going to happen. This is what they wanted to do. Because they understood that we were about to take our place. And then all the work that this man put in, all the work he put in, so that we can have a RBG the wave right now. All the work that he put in so we can stand up as a people. And you'll say his name to other people and they're not looking at him as some agent or whatever. They're looking at him as, yeah, he came here to help you people. He wasn't here like some of these other sellouts that we give honor to. There's a direct connection to Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali. There's a direct connection. And you're not going to try to make it sound like he didn't know what he was about when he was doing certain things. He knew exactly what was up, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And he was not some sellout or some agent. Was not. Islam war.
Yeah.
Yo,
all you gotta do is check the literature.
Yeah.
He put it in his own literature. I remember we had a class breakdown of how we were supposed to study from the forerunners. You can't be an agent telling that.
Straight up. For real.
That's impossible. How? He's telling, the whole thing is in the language. The whole way they flip and get us to enslave ourselves is through the language because we don't know what words mean. He's telling you you should be studying and mastering that every 6 months. We kill ourselves through the language every day, through contracts that we don't comprehend because we don't know what words mean. The forerunner told you to study that every 6 months, and to master it. How could you be an agent if you're doing that? And I was telling you earlier, if it was the case, because like I said, when I was asleep, I'm talking about myself. When I was asleep, I already know, being a dumb nigga, I was an agent to the Moorish divine national movement just because I didn't know who I was. So I was an agent unknowingly.
Yeah.
But once I knew who the prophet was, or like when Noble Drew Ali ran into the prophet, I mean when Marcus Garvey ran into the prophet, everything changed. He got deported, He's back in Jamaica now. Like, he everything went downhill when he went into the property.
So let's see what's going on here. A little bit. Trust me, we're not watching all this.
Central America, Central India, Canada, and Africa at the same time.
Is that a little more?
I was just want to say, I don't know if you want, but you can get the picture of Deuce Muhammad and put him up there.
Oh, yeah.
Garvey started the Negro Factories Association, a series of companies that would manufacture remarkable commodities in every big industry center in the Western Hemisphere in Africa. All right. Now, read a little bit more. In August 1920, the UNIA claimed 4 million members and held the first international convention at Madison Square Garden in New York City before a crowd of 25,000 people from all over the world. Marcus Garvey spoke of having pride of African history and culture. So many found his words inspiring, but not all. Some established black leaders found his separatist philosophy ill-conceived. W.B. Du Bois, a prominent black leader and officer of the in the NWACP, called Garvey the most dangerous enemy of Negro race in America. Now he had some stance with that. The Negro,
right? Now, this is Aboriginal Indigenous guy back in W.E. Du Bois. Who we know, the fact that he was a prominent black leader.
Are you serious?
The fact that he was a prominent black leader. Right? NAACP officer is who the Aboriginal guy is riding with before he rides with Marcus Garvey. And he's quoting W.E.B. Du Bois as quoting about Garvey. He is the most dangerous enemy of the Negro race in America.
This W.E.B. Du Bois, who was working hand in hand with the Jews in the civil rights movement.
Hand in hand. Hand in pocket.
NAACP. And the NAACP.
And NAACP. And then don't forget, it ain't NAACP, it's the Niagara movement. Go research that, since people want to talk about they're repping some W.E.B. Du Bois. Go do your research on the Niagara movement and how that became NAACP. And then now it makes sense to you why they're going at Garvey. It goes right back to Inquisitionist practices. That people are going to say that, okay, if you go,
It's fine, Richie.
yeah, more good.
Real quick, I just want to add on. We are all Moors. Norman Jid, page 78. And he speaks about Marcus Garvey. He says he was influenced by Deuce Muhammad Ali, the Sudanese Egyptian author of In the Land, this is the name of the book, In the Land of the Pharaohs in 1911, which made the case for Islam as a basis for self-government in the 19th century Egypt. Garvey's followers, particularly writers for the Negro world, and Garvey himself, made analogies between the struggles of Muslims in Africa against European colonist powers and their own struggle for equality in the United States. as well as between Garvey's mission and that of Muhammad, the prophet of Islam. At one point, Garvey compared his work and that of his followers to the prophet. Quote, as Muhammad did in the religious world, he said, so in the political arena, we have had men who have paid the price for leading the people toward the great light of liberty. In 1923, the Garveyite columnist for the Negro world gave a speech in Boston titled Islam and the Redemption of Africa. So Garvey's Negro world gave a speech in Boston titled Islam and the Redemption of Africa.
And there's Deuce Muhammad Ali right there. One of the teachers of Marcus Garvey. Oh yeah, and you're gonna ride with NAACP and all that over Garvey? How come? You can go to my book. I like to see you people produce some literature since you're talking crazy. So at least people could go research and have some reference points to back up your claims. There's a lot of these YouTube people that are just talking. Plagiarizing, reading other people's stuff. And not even giving honors where they got their stuff from.
Yep.
Noble Drew Ali plenipotentiaries. Oh, go ahead, Moore.
But then W.E.B. Du Bois apologized.
Yeah, at the end of it all, he realized that he was the clown.
He was full of BS.
He was full of BS. Full of BS.
Like, that's major. Like, you can't miss that. You have to bring that up. Like, you can't just read W.E.B. Du Bois, who mentions all of this about Garvey, and then you're not going to say that he apologized about it, though? You're not going to mention the apology. Like, he apologized for that. That's major. You just forget. Like, that's what I was telling you earlier. The half-truths they be doing, man.
Yeah. Now, I was going to put out there for my book, Noble Drew Ali Plenipotentiaries and the Negro Black Colored Addiction. You can get that at khalifamedia.com. James Wormley Jones. Jones was assigned to a new section of the Justice Department created to track the activities of groups perceived as subversive. His work there was under the direct supervision of J. Edgar Hoover. During this time in the FBI, Jones served in New York and Pittsburgh. In New York, he was assigned to infiltrate the Universal Negro Improvement Association under the leadership of Marcus Garvey. Although he was seeking evidence of subversive activities during the Red Scare of 1919, Jones' work led to the arrest and trial of Garvey on mail fraud charges. While conducting his surveillance, Jones adopted the code number 800 for his reports. He apparently knew that his clandestine role was not well concealed. James Wormley Jones. So how is Marcus Garvey an agent if James Wormley Jones was an agent and he was right there too?
Wow.
Because James Wormley Jones' job was to bring down Marcus Garvey. So why would an agent bring down an agent? And why would they put, say that again?
I never saw an agent get deported.
Why would an agent get deported?
You ever seen James Bond get deported? That don't happen. It don't happen. You work for the deporter people. What do you mean? how are they deporting you? You are the deporter. You work for them. You do the deporting. You work for the deporting guys. You're the agent. How did you get in unless something happened, like, oh, something hit you, like, wait a minute, I'm being used. You know what I mean? It wasn't what I thought it was. Because I keep saying, like, the times don't add up. When the prophet went to go visit him, everything went downhill for the Marcus Garvey. And after that, they was on him. They was on him. They was on him. And you got the letter from the prophet's wife, right? That talks about the letter from Marcus Garvey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the postcard.
Right. People act like it doesn't exist, like we making that up.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could look up also the news article, the Chicago Defender news article. Noble Ali going to the South to visit Marcus Garvey in newsprint. And the article specifically says that Noble Ali went to visit Marcus Garvey when he was in Atlanta prison. Right now, again, remember what we were talking about
earlier? That's like an attack on the prophet too.
Yeah, when we look at earlier with the Negro Acts and trying to put them under the jurisdiction. Now again, this is Marcus Garvey, Philosophies and Opinions. That fact that millions of Negroes still believe in and follow me is proof that those interested in my work and on whose account I was supposed to be indicted, convicted, and imprisoned do not believe that I have defrauded them and have more confidence in me than the prosecutor and those allied with him to injure me. The prosecutor's reference to such a large number of people as being ignorant is a gross reflection against the race and is an illogical assumption for inexperience. If the world has found it so hard to lead intelligence, how much more difficult would it not be to lead large numbers of ignorant people, and to have those people believe in a single leadership when around them is organized all power and authority of destruction to discredit him, and court failure for all his efforts in which the said people have invested their money, and the individual arrested by law, convicted, and imprisoned? That after I secure my first paper for naturalization and the information became known, my political enemies hurried up and forced my indictment so as to prevent me from acquiring full rights of citizenship, to further lend force to my leadership, which they feared for selfish personal reasons, and that my trial and conviction was made returnable just immediately prior to the time when I would have become eligible for the full rights of citizenship. After he received naturalization. Only way he's getting naturalized is if he's a foreigner. And we know that he's from Atlantis Islands. So he's not any foreigner. But that's why he got Dred Scott too and got deported. Because it's plaintiff in error. It's plaintiff in error. Because he's not Garvey. And the United States is not a government. Defendant in error and plaintiff in error. Go check the case. Off the top. They let you know that it's not real. All this stuff is trumped up. Defendant and plaintiff in error. There's no case. There's no case. How's there a case if defendant and plaintiff are in error?
Because he's not a Garvey.
Right.
Negro race in America. We'll find out why, right? So it say Garvey felt Du Bois was an agent of white supremacy. All right. So now we know he was under surveillance or whatever, but understand this. When I show you what I'm about to show you, you guys won't be fucked up. All right.
Hold on. So you're not gonna talk about Garvey said that W.E.B. Du Bois was an agent. He's gonna discount that, but he's gonna ride with Marcus Garvey was the most dangerous enemy of the Negro race in America. How's he the most dangerous enemy of the Negro race when his thing was called Improve the Negro? Something's not adding up here. Because if his thing is called Improve the Negro, then how is he an enemy to the Negro? This thing's called Negro. What he founded for his people was called Negro. So obviously he was for Negroes. Garvey felt Du Bois was an agent of the white elite, which he was. Because remember, Garvey was for his people. He wasn't for no establishment of anything, regardless of what he was attempting to do. He was straight for his people. He wasn't for some elitist whatever. He wasn't for some foreigners. He was for his people being able to be respected. Not just him only. He wasn't like these preachers. He's driving around in the big car and they're walking. And you're not going to dishonor the legacy. Everybody knows who the agents are. There's like people passing around stuff about Al Sharpton. Like, Al Sharpton, everybody knows he's agent. Everybody knows Jesse Jackson and all these people are agents. Because you have internet now, you think you know something? You know something now because there's internet and you could Google? You're a scholar? Say that again, Moore.
Now I'm saying the agency itself tells you that Sharpton is an agent. Like,
yeah. The people who made him an agent telling you that he's an agent.
Like, they give you the profile.
Like, how are they telling the agent that he's an agent? And then the agent's like, I'm not no agent. Oh yeah, speaking about agents, this one was pretty interesting. I see this one posted today. This one was pretty interesting. I seen this one posted today. A picture of Nipsey Hussle and Puffy. Like 76,000 likes. And Nipsey Hussle was saying, taking hashtag victory lap to the next level. I told Diddy I need that life after death vibe. Crazy. And Diddy has this smile on his face like, got another 10 years of energy. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Well, that's a straight sacrifice right there.
That's a weird one. That's a weird one. Yeah, I saw that one today. Like, yeah, somebody could have made it. Yeah, I guess, but you know, it's pretty interesting though. Certain people just not aging. You know what I mean? They just look the same since certain, like, you're not getting old and stuff like that. But everybody around you is dying and you're just young still.
So look, this is so this guy right here. This is Ernest Sever Cox, 1880 to 1966. All right. So it's a let me open up a little bit more. All right, so that's big enough. All right, so it's saying Ernest Sever Cox was a committed white supremacist who advocate on behalf of anti-miscegenation laws, and in 19 co-founded with a composer John Powell and Anglo-Saxon Club of America. Now remember, the Anglo-Saxon Club is very interesting. A lot of people who basically funded the Racial Integrity Act, which we're going to get to, is say a Richmond-based nationwide organization devoted to maintaining a strict separation of races. In 1923, Cox published White America, a book that described his travels in Africa and argued that race mixing would result in the collapse of white civilization. Marcus Garvey returned to Jamaica in 1912 and founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association with the goal of uniting all Africans diaspora to establish a country and absolute government, to say, of their own. To say, after corresponding with Booker T. Washington, the American educator, say, who founded aimed at promoting the superiority of the white race. Say, together with the composer Powell and Virginia State registrars Walter Plecker, Cox played an influential role in lobbying the Virginia General Assembly to pass the Racial Integrity Act of 1924, a strict anti-miscegenation law, and later the Massenburg Bill, which banned racial mixing in all public places. In 1924, Cox formed an unlikely alliance with black nationalist Marcus Garvey, based on their shared belief that the only way to save the races was for African Americans to relocate to Africa. Okay, now, all right, say Cox retired from the.
No, that's what encyclopedia is expressing. That's what they're saying. Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. Page 340. Major Cox letter. Same Ernest Sevier Cox that they're talking about. Right. He requested Major Cox to write a letter to be read before the branch of your organization. Major Cox wrote a very strong and very moving letter, which was read by Mr. Ditto before his organization. And he wrote back to Mr. Cox and said, "I wish you could have been here to have seen the enthusiasm with which your letter was received. Our members are reading and studying White America, and many of the members have said that White America should be in every Negro's home along with the Bible." Major Cox was naturally very pleased with this, and later, when Mr. Ditto asked if he might publish the letter, Mr. Cox suggested that he enlarge on the letter. The result of that was a little pamphlet which Mr. Cox wrote and published entitled "Let My People Go." It is a message from white men who wish to keep the white race to white and the black men who wish to keep the black race to black. And it is dedicated to Marcus Garvey, that great leader who sought to do for his own race what the greatest of white Americans sought to do for that race, and encouraged the race to do for itself, none other than Abraham Lincoln. I didn't hear anything in there about go back to Africa or none of that. And this is from Marcus Garvey's book himself.
I ain't even heard the word Africa.
Nothing about going anywhere. And remember, this is European getting honors from Negroes for telling them Negroes deserve to be around Negroes. And whites, Europeans, whatever, need to be around their own. Now that's what we wanted with Black Wall Street and all that. And remember, everything from Black Wall Street came from Trail of Tears, which was Moors, Aboriginal indigenous people, non-Negro black coloreds. So this white supremacist, was really a pilgrim supremacist. There's no such thing as white supremacy. He's a foreigner supremacist. And he's reaching out to the man who's saying, hey, race, you need to do for yourself. Race, you need to do for you. Just like how the European is doing for them, you need to do for you.
Your own vine and fig tree.
Nothing about go back to Africa. So let these people lie on the forerunner about he's an agent. No, the real agents are the people speaking against him. There's the people speaking against him who are the real issue. Because again, everything that he presented was to line us up. Was to line us up to be able to accept what Noble Drew Ali brought. again, show you that the Europeans respected what Marcus Garvey stood for. It wasn't some they were funding him and all that BS. They were respecting the fact that he was saying self-sufficiency for our people. Forget we want stuff from Europeans. We don't want anything from Europeans. Europeans are like, yeah, we don't want to give you nothing either. Page 341. The newspapers were represented at the meeting, and the Richmond Times-Dispatch, White, published an account of my talk. In the next issue of the Norfolk Journal and Guide, a Negro newspaper, there were large headlines spread across the top of the page. Garvey in prison forms new alliance. The readers of the Norfolk Journal and Guide were reminded that Garvey had formerly been a member of the Ku Klux Klan, and that his association with the Ku Klux Klan, having been cut short by his imprisonment, even in prison, he had taken occasion to ally himself with other enemies of the race, namely the Anglo-Saxon clubs of America. That article was copied in the Negro press all over the country, and unfortunately, I'm afraid, caused a great deal of ill feeling and ill will. Now, how is it that Marcus Garvey could be a member of the KKK? Meeting with them. Don't forget who his teachers were. Don't forget the people who he was around. So don't limit. Remember, a grand wizard is not some dumb cracker. And you're talking KKK. You're talking about like how they look at Knights Templar. They look at KKK. Because they dress like Moors. They have their oath to the Constitution. They have their oath to enforce their Christian values. But they dress like Moors, though. They don't dress like Christians. They dress like Moors. And Garvey's a Moor, and then he was a member of that. And then Negroes are looking at him like, why is he talking to them? They're the enemy. While they're elbow to elbow with the enemy at the black meeting. There's a lot more.
Yeah, I want to just add on real quick.
Yeah.
Out of the book, 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof by J.A. Rogers. Fact number 100. It says, speaking of the parade of the Negro Brotherhood in Seville, Spain in 1926, it's 1926, author Schoenberg, curator of the Carnegie Library, West 135th Street, New York City, says, quote, it was only human to wish to examine the garments of the Brotherhood of the Negroes after observing the similarity to the white robes and cowls used by the Ku Klux Klan of our country. To all appearances, the American organization copied the dress of those believers in Christ. Not even in garments, it seems that it is the American order original. They are evidently copied faithfully from a very sacred brotherhood whose devotion won them the love and gratitude of the Spanish people, from king to peasant, Protestant believer. And it gives the fact Opportunity Maga, page 164, June 1927, New York. And it has a picture there too. It says a picture below is a parade of the Seville Negro Order. For additional data on nearly all these facts, see the 3 volumes of Sex and Race. But then he got the picture of the Seville Negro Order, and they're all wearing their Moorish garbs, which the Ku Klux Klan is copying from them. And like,
Seville Negro Order?
Yeah, it's called the Seville Negro Order.
It's right there. Yeah. Yeah, I have it up. The Seville Negro Order.
It says, for earlier information about these Negroes, as they are called in Seville, see Zuniga's Annals de Sevilla, published in 1677. Later, the Negroes rose to a position of prominence and had a count, after whom one of the streets is still named. If the originals of the Ku Klux Klan did not copy the garb of these Negroes, then the coincidence is really amazing.
I found the page. We're just reading with you. The coincidence is really amazing. That in 1677, these Negroes, remember, because if they're saying Negroes in 1677, they really mean Moors.
Yeah.
All right. So if Marcus Garvey said Negro in 1920 something, what does he really mean?
Moor.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay. This is why they're hating on him.
How can you be a member of something you created?
Remember who his teacher was.
Right.
So what the hell is he looking at the KKK and seeing when he sees them? You think he's seeing some white guys trying to do whatever? No. He's seeing the Seville Negro Order. Deuce Muhammad Ali is a scholar known throughout Europe. Echelon. He wasn't one of them Negroes in America or whatever. So trust, Garvey had to have known in order to go sit down with the KKK, become a member of that. He was a sellout? No. He knew more than you dumb Negroes. He was an agent? No way. He just knew more than the Negroes. Let's say Islam to all the Moors, because they're definitely not getting 2 hours of my time with their BS. So we will that it was cleared up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you already know the weak minds will stay being tested. All the Moors that study Islam to you. Happy holy day to all the Moors worldwide. Brother Yusuf, you got any closeout shout outs?
Yeah, Islam to the Moors in the chat. Give thanks to the Prophet and give thanks to the forerunner, Marcus Garvey.
Islam to Marcus Garvey. Islam.
Islam, Ben Sheikh, give thanks for your platform.
Islam. Peace and love to all the Moors. And don't forget Moors, No More Daily. And visit nomoredaily.com. Harvey Bay Publications, Moorish Directory. moorsandmasonry.org.
Yep.
khalifamedia.com. willofalah.com. Keep studying. Islam to all the Moors. This is our birthrights. Peace and love. Islam.